Hey everybody, I'm John Rourke, Editor-in-Chief of Phoenix Home and Garden Magazine. We're here at the Arizona Fine Art Expo, which runs through March 23rd. We've got, I believe, 80 artists, all different genres, all different medium. And today, right now, we are talking with Chris Dellorco. Hi, Chris.
Hi.
So we're standing here to start out because tell us a little bit about your background.
Well,
you work for Disney.
I often joke, I have at the top there, it says the most well-known artist you've never heard of, because 90% of people I meet know this piece and own it. And
exactly.
So yet they never have seen my signature. You know, I did Disney video covers for many years. A freelance, I didn't work for them, but I freelanced, and then I also did movie posters, and I did packaging for Mattel, I did Corona ads, you name it. In the advertising illustrator field, I did quite well.
Which just sounds like so much fun.
I mean, it was both a joy because you get the exposure that, it's unbelievable how many people own some of my work. I also recently, I did the Pringles labels. So if you go in a supermarket, there's a shelf of my art,
right.
You know?
But no one knows it's you.
So the exposure is wonderful, you know.
Right.
But it isn't, of course, necessarily what I want to do or what I would choose. It's more like I'm a craftsman.
Sure.
Whereas when I do fine art, you know, it's a different experience and a different connection to how it represents me.
Now, this is your first year at the expo, correct?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
I've heard about it for many years because I've done shows with Thunderbird artists who we're connected with this, and I've done some of their outdoor shows, so I'd heard about it. And I live in LA, so that was kind of prohibitive that I was, you know, coming here for 3 months. But I've started to create some friendships here, so I thought, you know what, it's time to do it. Let's try it.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's a great group. So you were primarily a commercial artist, commercial illustrator, and then
for a good more than half of my career.
Okay.
I initially.
And then when did you decide to make the transition to fine art?
You know, I wish I could say it absolutely was by choice. Around 2008, the market, after the economy crashed, the market really changed dramatically.
Okay.
And Disney decided, whereas I was a freelancer, they decided to go in-house. And I suddenly found myself a lot of free time. And I had never even tried oil painting because when you're doing advertising art, you really have to do either you're doing acrylics because it dries fast because the pieces are done so quickly, or I was actually one of the pioneers of Photoshop as an illustration tool because it was originally a photo retouching tool. That's why it's called Photoshop.
Exactly.
And I kind of figured out, oh, we can do other things with this. So I started doing that. And then the whole market changed and I had time and I thought, I'm going to try oil painting. Never tried it. And I found suddenly there was a demand for what I was doing, and there was not as much of a demand in the advertising illustration world. So it's the irony of life is sometimes the thing that you think is the worst thing for you opens the door to maybe what you really want.
Exactly.
And I'm much happier doing this kind of stuff.
Fantastic.
You know?
And so we were talking a few minutes ago about kind of the evolution of your work. And so you started, if I remember correctly, doing figurative work. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I started with advertising art, doing pretty much anything they ask. Whether you're either illustrating a wine bottle or you know, a character from a movie.
Okay, but with
in
your
my
fine art,
yes, in my fine art, absolutely started doing figurative initially. And really had great response to that. And you know, initially some of the stuff I did, if you want to,
let's take a look at some of the figurative things.
Kind of some of my earlier stuff was this kind of work, which had like very classical cathedrals and incorporating the figures into that. And more recently, I started actually photographing the models underwater to get these very surreal looks because they become weightless. I even had one dancer I was working with, that's what kind of inspired it. She was in the studio and I kept asking, can you just jump a little higher? And she started getting frustrated and she goes, I'm not weightless. And it was like a light went off. That's what I want. How can I make them weightless? So I started photographing the models underwater. I even printed some of the photographs, which is over here is an underwater photograph. And then I literally did some of the paintings using that as the figure. So
it's just beautiful. We were talking about this a few minutes ago about how this piece here is a photograph, but then you have taken it further. Added like texture.
This one, she was actually underwater when I photographed her. And then I incorporated it. This is in Versailles. This is the chapel in Versailles, and I kind of placed her into that environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's worth noting, of course, that one of your pieces is on the cover
Yes.
of the brochure for the expo.
With
this
the
year.
dancer that told me she couldn't go weightless.
Oh, that's the one. Okay, okay, fantastic. And then I was
And then over here,
Yes.
we've got a whole new direction that I'm trying to do, well, hopefully succeeding at doing, which is only fabric, and trying to see if I could take an inanimate object and find an emotional resonance with it. And the fabric has such a unique kind of quality to it that it works. And again, for reference, I photographed the fabric underwater.
Oh, you did?
Because
Okay.
it just flows differently
Of
than it
course.
does in the air. The viscosity of water makes a much more graceful kind of twist and turn.
Okay,
So,
and
yeah.
we were talking earlier about how they have such different moods. So, like
Right.
this one,
Yeah.
you've got the wintry scene
Right, but
contrasted with
sort of the feel, it's almost flirtatious. You
Right,
know, it's
right.
inviting you to go down that path.
Exactly.
You know, and then you've got one like this one over here, the red one, which is very stormy and tempestuous. So they really can have their own quality.
and then the one below it is very peaceful and serene.
Yeah, and again, the colors, you know, colors work on wavelengths. Red is always a wavelength that causes agitation in the wild. So the same thing it creates in our brains, where white and blue are very calming colors because they
Right.
exist in the sky and the water and things like that.
Now, during the expo, are you going to be working on pieces?
Yeah, I will. You know, I've never done that, really painted in front of people, so that's going to be a different experience for
Okay.
me. But I'm going to set up. I moved sort of everything I thought I would need. I'm sure I'm going to find that there's something I forgot, but
Of course.
I'll put a studio up and people can come and enjoy that experience. I always wonder though, because I paint so slowly, they'll be disappointed.
No, I think it'll be fascinating to watch. And then I was just noticing on this piece over here, this is interesting how it extends onto the frame.
Yeah, I like playing with again, the three-dimensionality of things interests me a lot. And I had originally done it with splatter pieces like this
Okay.
one, which I've actually had a few clients let me do this, splatter on their walls.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know, it started with just splattering on the frames, and then it's great because to me it becomes an art installation in their home, and it really, the energy of the art kind of goes right into that. Enters their house. And then lastly, I'll show you, I have a little commission area here. I put up a few commissions that I've done, including some famous people like Jane Seymour.
Which is, yeah, that's a beautiful portrait of her.
Or I did a crazy tall painting, 10 feet
wow.
tall. These people love Game of Thrones.
Incredible.
So,
What's
yeah,
the
a
largest
little bit
piece you've
better.
ever done?
I'd say that
That
one.
one?
Yeah, that one. This one, though, the mountain lion was 6 feet tall, so that was a pretty big piece.
Okay.
And again, that was a funny one. I had a client, he just said, hey, I know you do figurative, can you do a mountain lion? And I was like, well, I've been an illustrator, so I've had to paint everything.
Right.
So
Exactly.
let's do a mountain lion.
Maybe somebody's going to want a 12-foot tall Pringle can.
Yeah, there you
go. And you're there. You've got it.
There we go.
Once again, we're talking with Chris Dellorco here at the Arizona Fine Art Expo, running through March 21st, or 23rd, I'm sorry. Great thing about this is there are, I believe, 80 artists present, all different media, all different styles. Buy your ticket and come back throughout the entire run of the show. You don't need to just limit it to one day. And many of the artists, like Chris, will be working on site. So it's a great opportunity to meet the artists, see them do what they do best, and learn and experience and enjoy.